Had great success in Europe since the release of their debut record in 1981. The group is now poised on breaking big on the American music scene. Their new hit single is called Robert De Niro's Waiting, and we have a clip. Nicely framed there. Your head is out of the shot. Happy to welcome Siobhan, Kieran, and Sarah to our program. Making tapes ain't easy, right? This one, yeah, the videotapes. Now, this one wasn't as hard as perhaps Cruel Summer.
No, actually, that was twice as hard.
It was? Why?
Well, Cruel Summer was done in the August heat in New York, which was sweltering and uncomfortable, but Robert De Niro was actually filmed at 1 o'clock in the morning on a bitter January night. It was snowing.
Oh, I think I'd rather have the heat also. And you'd rather do a recording in the studio as opposed to one of these things for MTV.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Your new single in America is Robert De Niro is Waiting. In Europe, it's already been a great success.
Right.
Why Robert De Niro as opposed to Peter O'Toole or Rocky Graziano?
We're just big fans of Bob's and Al Pacino, so we decided to write a song about him. Although it's not, you know, directly about him, we just thought that there's so many people who are obsessed by this sort of man. He has a cult following, and just inspired us to write a song.
I mean, can you just go around using anybody's name, or did you have to talk to him, or?
No, we didn't need permission. We just recorded it, and but he did find out about it before we actually released it. He was in London at the time. He'd just been doing some filming, and our press officer, behind our back,
behind your
sent a
back,
copy of the single to him. And then he was so curious to know why anybody would write a song about him and how it came about. He wanted to go for a drink with us, and so crowning glory of our
Did you enjoy it? I mean, was he live up to your expectations?
Yeah, it was really strange. I mean, we were so panicky about meeting like a hero, and so we had a few drinks before we even met him to build up a bit of courage. Yeah. And he was just so ordinary and down to earth. I mean, it's really weird to think that this sort of big actor can be so ordinary and friendly to you.
I think too short for you?
Yeah.
Too short for you. Let's find out a little about Bananarama. I know that you were fashion journalist, as they say. As recently as 5 years ago?
Oh, no.
3 years ago.
Just two. Siobhan and myself were studying journalism at college, and Karen worked for the BBC around the corner. She was in the pensions department.
No, they always have to bring that one out.
Oh, is that bad?
Well, I was trying to get into television, so I joined the BBC. You know, in England it's pretty big. And once I got my foot in the door, they said, you know, the chances were great, but unfortunately I couldn't get out.
Well, that's pretty much true here, too. Now, without a lot of singing, you guys, to make a long story short, got together and decided it would be a good idea, to form a musical group and learn instruments and do the whole thing. Now, this is remarkable timing. I mean, this short a period for the kind of business the recording business is in, which likes to package people.
Yeah.
Were you able to come to them and say, here's my stuff, accept it as it is, or did you have a whole problem?
We just suddenly we decided that that's what we wanted to do. We didn't bother learning instruments because we wanted to do it there and then. And within 2 weeks, we had, like, a recording deal. And within, like, 2 months, we were #4 in the British charts. And really, I mean, although it's great not to have to work for it, we missed out on a lot of the groundwork. So we've had to learn in the public eye, and you've got to be really careful once you're famous that you don't make any mistakes.
Well, I'm curious about sexism. And even along with that, I'm curious about the groundwork that you missed. I mean, where did it show up that you said, oh my gosh, I wish we had known?
Well, when we came to record our first album, most groups usually have 2 years before they even get signed up, where they can learn to write songs and learn to play their instruments properly and work audiences so they're ready when they get signed up. But we actually had to learn to write after we got signed, and our first album was just an experiment in that. We've just released our second album now, Bananarama it's called. Surprise, surprise.
Surprise.
And that's 2.5 years on, and we've during the time that we've been making hit singles, we've been learning how to write what we think are good songs now. So.
Well, do you think it's fair that if someone greeted you with a bit of doubt, or said, I don't know if I'm not sure whether you can do this or not, then it would have been sort of fair for them to take that position, don't you think?
Well, we had a lot of problems in the beginning. I mean, people found it so hard to take us serious.
Yeah.
I mean, in the beginning, we didn't take ourselves seriously, to tell you the truth. I mean, it was just for fun.
Yeah.
And then when we settled down and realised this was what we wanted as our career, we had all sorts of battles. I mean, particularly on the first album, we broke from our producers we were with because they refused to record our songs. They sort of said that you can't write songs, we can.
I'm not surprised.
And I mean, we sorted the differences out and got back with them. But we get labelled like, oh, they're another girl group, like, say, in the 60s. People make a lot of comparisons, whereas we're nothing like the groups in the 60s. I mean, we managed ourselves. You know, we don't get anyone dressing us up. There's no big Svengali working us from behind the scenes. I mean, we've done it all ourselves, so...
Well, obviously, the three of you are pretty savvy in what you're doing. You're on the charts here, and I'm sure we've generated some interest here. And before we throw this back to Jack, are you appearing anywhere in the area?
Unfortunately, we're not here on tour at the moment. We're going to start rehearsing in the summer for a world tour, which will probably hit New York about Christmas time or maybe just after Christmas.
Well, I wish you all success in the world.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming by here first.
Thank you.
Jack?
Thanks. Still ahead today on Live at 5.